Well,
Recording in progress.
at least we got Sanford
I'd like
here.
to welcome everybody to the June edition of the Tips and Tricks SIG. Boy, this is a wild evening we've got ahead of us already. Bert's already clawing at us, telling us everything we need to know. Please continue. Go ahead,
No,
Bert.
I wanted to welcome Bob Baxter, who's a new member to our group.
Yay!
And
Bye.
we appreciate your paying your dues and becoming a member. So thank you.
Oh, an official member. Congratulations.
Thank you. You helped us
Thank you
keep
for
our
letting me
lights
join
on.
you.
Helping us keep the lights on.
That's right.
Yeah, we gotta have that payment so we can go for another 10 years.
That's right. That's the objective. Okay,
Good luck.
so our typical format would be an open forum and then go right into the topics that I had sent out. Does anyone have a question they'd like to pose to the group tonight? Okay, we do not have any new questions, but we're waiting for Jeff to come in. Let's see if Jeff Glassman has any questions for the group, since he's just jumping in. Jeff, are you there yet?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, we just started and I wanted to know if you had any open forum questions.
Nope, not at this time. I don't.
Okay, all right. So earlier there was some discussions. I wanted to apprise everybody, if you have received your survey, please take a few moments to complete it and return it. If you have already completed your survey, thank you very much. The survey is easily copied into Notepad, make your edits, and then send that file or paste it back in an email and send it back to Beata. That would be greatly appreciated. Okay, I sent out some questions to the group. Does anyone have some of the topics that I sent out? Shall we cover them? Or do we want to continue on the topic of doing Control A, Control V, Control C, shortcut keys, et cetera, that not everybody knows, but some people know how to do it with the mouse instead of shortcuts. So, well, there's multiple ways to do things in Windows. We could.
You're leaving out copy paste.
I'm sorry?
I would like to know, as a serious question, what can you do on a computer that only has one possible way of doing it?
This is a trick question.
No, it ain't.
Are we supposed
I
to
have
do it?
I have had situations happen where other methods just wouldn't work, or the screen would freeze, or something like that. And I was down to keyboard or Control-Alt-Delete for Task Manager.
All right. I've used those, but I'm saying any one thing that only has one working solution, no other way of doing it.
Copilot.
Turn it on and off.
That's it. The power button. There's only one way
Yeah.
to do it. The power button.
Oh, no.
You haven't
There's
even figured out
about
how to
four
do that.
ways.
Oh,
There's about
no,
four ways
only
to get
turn it
Windows.
on and off.
There's about four ways to
Only-
get Windows to shut down. But on most computers, there's only one way to start the computer.
Yeah. Yep. And that's with the power button.
No, not necessarily.
No.
I've actually had some in the past where I had a broken power switch until it got fixed. I had to plug and unplug the computer.
Yep.
So that's
But
a
basically,
two
that's
way.
a power switch.
That's two
Yeah.
ways of and a fifth way of shutting off the machine if nothing else works.
Yeah, I've had to do that when the operating system would freeze and the keyboard and mouse would not work either.
I keep
It
that
doesn't
to a
happen
minimum.
very often. It doesn't happen very often.
No.
But sometimes that power button is just not powerful enough, or it's set up in Windows to just put it into a deep hibernate.
That happened on my printer the other day. It wasn't working, and I tried to shut it off. It wouldn't turn off. I finally had to unplug it.
Yeah, it happens. It's just a case where, I go back far enough that a lot of the early systems had very poor switches that would constantly fail. In fact, at one show, I think I bought a half a dozen substitute switches, and I had to use almost all but I think two of them.
I wish modern power supplies were that simple.
Oh, yeah.
I had one go wrong in my previous NUC, and I think it was the gate that wasn't working because the power button just did not do what it was supposed to.
Well,
And I ended up, because it's a single board computer, I ended up just upgrading.
well, on a Nux, that one that I was fixing for that neighbor, his power button uses a strange little piece of rubber that has to go on the edge of the board right in front of where the switch is at. Then it has some kind of a back cover, but it's not like a white color. It's a shiny black plastic. And then when you push the button, you got to push hard as hell to get that thing to turn on or turn off.
True of my current NUC as well.
Oh man, that's a rotten deal.
It's a piece of plastic that is square and has an LED.
Yeah,
And you have to push it until the LED turns blue.
yeah. Or you,
Either to turn it on or the LED stops glowing blue when it finally decides I'm going to turn off. And that's what my old one did not do, except the switch was sort of chromed metal.
if you press and hold and you got your finger over it, you can't see the light, then it'll turn orange from blue, and that does a reset of something in the BIOS.
Yes, the BIOS actually goes into a power down.
I found that threatening some of these things with a 3-pound ball peen hammer sometimes helps.
Not with a single board computer.
Oh, yes, it does. It will shut it down.
Oh, your Raspberry Pi will probably do nicely that way. But then again, you can also take on a Pi, it's all exposed, so you can take the internal jumper off.
Well, that depends on whether you got it in a case or you have it out loose on the desktop.
Yeah, the NUC is in a case, and it may also have a lid, which complicates matters, because that's got an internal connect as well.
You know what? You just upgrade your hammer.
Yeah, if I had a hammer.
Yeah, use the 3-pound hammer instead.
Bigger is better.
I have taken small sledgehammers to hard drives that I wanted to get rid of.
And isn't that satisfying?
Yeah,
Nobody can
yes
get
and
that
no. If you're outdoors and it scatters pieces all over the place and you have to sweep them up, that's not so satisfying.
Yeah.
But if it's in a contained spot, like in a basement or something, and you can just sweep it or use a wet dry vac, fine. But be aware, if you use a hammer on a circuit board, you're releasing silica dust and you're releasing other things like germanium, which are not really good to have in your environment.
Good point.
Well, we have Carl here. He's another fairly new member.
Yeah, he's been good in meetings too.
Hi, Carl. We're doing a voice check, making sure your microphone works, Carl. Maybe it
You
does.
do.
Carol.
I think he's still connecting.
There he is.
There he goes.
Well,
I had a pop-up and I had to say, okay, whatever the pop-up was, had to do with the Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Recording.
Yeah.
And, oh, okay, yeah, and it wouldn't let me, unmute or anything. Hey,
Until you say okay.
I have to take exception to what you just said, more than one of you. He's a new guy, he's a young guy, no. I'm not-
I didn't say a young guy.
We said new.
As I said in a text for seniors on Monday, and I think Tim heard it. And that is, we were talking about the singer who turned 99 now. What's his name? Ray Baxter was playing his music. At any rate, his family tree goes back to the founders, the Mayflower.
Actually, that's actor Dick Van Dyke. He has
Thank you.
sung
I
in
was-
musicals. He has
Right.
sung in musicals, and he has been performing since he was 8 years old.
Yeah, well, I can't make that claim, but I can do something that I have a brother, first of all, that's 17 years and a few younger than me. He's in his mid 60s. I'm 85. My father was the youngest of seven, and he was born in 1898. Well, my father's father, my grandparents, were alive during the Civil War.
Yeah.
My grandfather was 11 years old and my grandmother was 1 year old. Now
Yeah.
that's surrealistic for me, but think for a second, this is my last comment. How surrealistic is it for my 67-year-old brother to say his grandparents lived during the Civil War and were alive when Lincoln was assassinated in 1865? My grandfather was born in 1864 and my grandmother in 1865. That for me is like I'm telling a tall tale or something, you know.
Well, my grandparents were generation of 1895, and they started out back in Western Ukraine
Oh, your
and
parents
Poland
were
and
out.
Lithuania.
Your parents were out of Ukraine.
My father's family were part of the Jewish community in Western Ukraine. Later migrated up toward Poland, Lithuania, which at that time was where Belarus is now.
Okay.
Yeah, in
And
fact,
Poland, Lithuania was this giant kingdom. Vilnius was pretty much its secondary capital after Warsaw.
yeah,
Oh.
there were a lot of, after the Ottoman Empire, there were a lot of boundaries changed. Poland did not exist as a country.
Right.
I didn't
It's
realize
all
that for
Germany.
years. Over 100
Russia had divided up Poland in 3 stages. But anyway,
Yeah.
we might want to get back on topic, as Sanford
Yeah.
indicated,
Okay, so
because we were talking
I
about
read
shutting
your
down
take.
computers. We were talking about starting up and shutting down computers, and how maybe starting a computer is about the only thing you don't have multiple ways of doing on a PC under Windows.
I think that's a good general consensus.
Oh, wait. You can do power over Ethernet.
Yes, Wake on LAN.
So that's 2.
Yep.
It's actually 3 because, like I said, I have had a few where I had to actually plug and unplug in order to start it and or to turn it off because of a broken switch.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Can
That'd
you-
be more of a mechanical switch,
Yes, it is.
because the PCs made today all
Right.
use like a soft switch. So even just applying power to the system will not turn on the PC.
Yeah, but it is true that it is a case where we really have 3 ways, but the remote one through the NUX, the problem there was most people don't know it exists. They wouldn't know how to set it up and why they would do it.
And most people don't need to worry about it.
Right.
Okay,
Until something goes
it's just
wrong.
like, there's many factoids we should know, but we don't always need to know them. And many people have adopted, I don't need or want to know this stuff. I'll just buy a system that does it automatically for me.
Yeah, you don't need to know how it works until something goes wrong.
That's right.
Correct.
Or
Then
you're
you are
trying to,
then you are, like several members of our group have been, in the open arms of Geek Squad if you don't know either Tim or Sanford or me and have our phone numbers on speed dial.
Please.
Or if you aren't
Exactly, our
married to
phone
Sanford
numbers.
the way his wife is.
Okay, great stuff. Maybe we should move on to a regular topic for tonight. Carl, first thing, did you have any questions for us, for the group?
No, I'm a beginning learner. I'm always learning, and so I'm here to be sponge a little bit.
Okay, well, we like sponges.
do you
Is
know
there
do you know Control A, Control C, Control V, Control X?
Oh yeah, we use it all the time with chat on Tech for Seniors.
Well, you're already ahead of another person I know.
Okay, he's ahead of me because I don't know Control A and Control blah.
I only know them because they're pretty much the same in Windows and Linux. And in Linux, they're very useful.
Okay, and not all of us like to use shortcut keys. We can, we might be finger. What do I always say?
Hey, this goes back before even Windows 3 days, which
Okay.
is
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which-
The biggest issue with using the GUIs is that lately the user experience, as they call it in Windows 10 and 11, especially 11, has been changing so frequently. And everything gets moved around all over the place. Where's the power button? How do you shut this thing down? Jane, stop this crazy thing. That sort of thing. It's like George Jetson. And it's also with Windows 8.0, that's what drove me over to Linux.
Okay,
I don't
one of
want to
the
have-
topics yes, Bert.
I think in addition to those basic keys, learning how to copy and paste is more one of the essential things everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
If you're at a website and you've highlighted something, you're not necessarily going to be able to center that cursor on the highlighted area. So that's when you need your keyboard for Control X or Control C. It's going to be Control C. And then later into wherever you're placing it, Control V, like a Word document.
Mhm. Or like Notepad or WordPad or a full Word processor or a LibreOffice writer, etc.
Well, WordPad is going away. Do people already know what they're doing about this?
Yeah, I already got something. It's from S Suite. It makes a fairly decent clone of WordPad. But I guarantee you, even though Microsoft's going to, so to speak, drop it from within Windows, it's in the store. So you can load it in from the Microsoft store.
Is it fully functional if you do that?
Yes, but they're not upgrading it to where you can have multiple tabs like they did with Notepad.
Yeah, I have found something that is from Gecko Software called Notepad++,
Right.
and that one does do tabs. It
So
does
does-
all kinds of other, it
Yeah.
does all kinds of markdown as well.
And the Windows 11 Notepad does multiple tabs as well, and it has now, besides the multi-tabs, auto save of your document, so if you forgot to save it deliberately like you used to have to, it will remember it the next time you bring up Notepad.
That is so annoying.
Oh,
I do
like
not
it.
like opening up Notepad and finding passwords revealed right there in front of me.
Aw.
Plain text passwords. I don't want that to happen during a meeting.
Well, I've used it to my advantage as far as that goes, and that, so I'm not that concerned about it. It's
Well, it's my fault for storing the passwords in open text.
right, but it's up to you guys as to what you like and what you don't like. That's
And Sanford
true
has
with
something
all
to
of
say?
us.
Yes, but you brought up the fact that Notepad is going away.
No, WordPad.
WordPad.
I'm sorry, not. I thought it was. Oh, it's WordPad, right? Not Notepad. WordPad is going away.
Right.
Is it going away on all versions of Windows?
Of
10 and 11.
As of 11, in the future release, it'll suddenly disappear and no longer be part of Windows itself. But you can go to the Microsoft Store and load up another version of WordPad from there. And I
Right.
guarantee you there are some other clones of different companies that are doing the same thing, just like Bob bringing up Notepad++. That's a third-party developer.
Yeah, and AbbeyWord is a good standby. It's been around forever.
So as my understanding is, it's Windows 11, not Windows 10 that's going to be affected. Windows 11,
24H2 probably.
22H2,
24H2.
24H2. Okay, thank you. When you install that update, it's going to deinstall WordPad for you, a nice little feature that they're taking away that you didn't pay for in the first place, but yes, you did because it was included in Windows. I see a class action lawsuit, maybe.
Nah,
Anyways,
I
doesn't matter.
use-
It's in our EULA.
I use-
If I may I continue? There's another feature that is also going to be affected during this install, and I don't think that is being discussed. And that is a feature that I believe, if I get my facts straight, is if you have a NAS drive or if you have a hard drive attached to your router that is available on your network that does not require a login and a password, that may become inaccessible and blocked by Windows.
It's worse than that. The entire security certificate authority that's associated with secure boot and USB and network boot, all of that is going to be upgraded for a security reason. And that means if you have a drawer full of USB flash drives that can boot, one day after this update, it'll roll it out onto your machine in some monthly cumulative update, and all of a sudden, none of your flash drives boots any longer. And you can't turn off secure boot for the reason that TPM security depends upon it. Now, Ventoy has a workaround. They have something called an MOK, which is a Microsoft approved key, which they can inject the first time you boot Ventoy. Ventoy is a multi-boot system on a USB flash drive. I have totally filled a 16 gigabyte flash drive with utilities. It happens to be for Linux, but I could do it for Windows. And portable apps can go on there. And it's a single boot for multiple ISOs. That is a good way to conserve your TPM keys, and it's a good way to make sure it will keep working with the secure boot changes as Ventoy is upgraded, and as, for example, Linux also will be upgraded, but I no longer dual boot on the same drive.
Can you send us a link to this Ventoy?
Ventoy? Oh,
Yeah.
sure. We've talked about it multiple times. I'll just
use
sure
it during Linux though.
Okay, well then we'll just get the URL for Ventoy.
Okay,
That should
thank you.
take
Thank you.
about
And you mentioned
3 minutes.
TPM keys. So this is what's being affected is the TPM keys?
No, secure boot.
Secure boot is.
Secure boot with regard to BitLocker, secure boot without BitLocker. They've already done something with regard to if you do have BitLocker, that's already been changed.
So if I'm correct, the way I spelled it out here, if I had a USB drive that's attached to my router per se, that I used as a common place to go and get things and store things, I will not be able to access my router within my network or
It's possible.
my attached drive that's on there. What is it going to just disappear?
It will become unavailable until these secure boot certificates are upgraded. TPM will remain the same.
Upgraded by who?
The vendor needs to upgrade, or the software developer needs to upgrade the security certificate for whatever is contained. Let's talk about Rufus, for example. That's one of the ones that will need to upgrade. And it will need to get a security certificate, which they obtain, you actually have to pay for it, from Microsoft, so that you don't have to switch off secure boot any longer in order to use that USB boot flash drive. And like I say, you don't want to turn off secure boot if you're using TPM security, because doing so wipes out your TPM authorization list. And you don't want to have to back that up, reconstruct it, all this other nasty, nasty stuff in your BIOS.
So let me see if I understand this correct. The TPM module actually stores the keys. There's something that is written to that module. And that
Correct.
explains why some of my systems where I got them under legacy boot, they've never had anything in there, and they work just fine with everything. Other systems that have TPM, especially the Dells, sometimes don't work with that toy.
Dell is different. Now you're getting into some details that are really technical. It has to do with the EFI or UEFI setup, and that is different for different brands. For example, my NUC is fairly straightforward because it's pure Intel, and that's Wintel. But my power spec has an Asus motherboard. Some people say Asus, but you call them on the phone in Taiwan and they correct you. So it's Asus. As in Pegasus. But anyway, my motherboard is Asus. One of their Prime line, and the BIOS I believe is an AMI BIOS. And the AMI BIOS will differ from some of the other. I think there's an American Megatrends, and there's 2 or 3 other main brands. And they're all made in Taiwan, but they all behave a little bit differently from one another. So my NUC has one BIOS, my PowerSpec has another BIOS, and they all have different EFI. And each Windows 11 instance needs a list of TPM 2.0 keys, although you can get by on 1.4. It needs these keys to be present in order for anything to boot that is not Windows 11, including Linux, including anything else.
And where are these keys actually stored? Are they on the hard drive? Are they in the TPM module? Are they in memory?
TPM module does have EFI in the BIOS is your main storage for this. And it has a limited capacity of maybe 99, maybe fewer. But you can only have a certain number of keys. And the top 20 are the ones that usually keep listing and then getting overwritten. If you put in that 21st USB drive, one of your others got kicked out. And
Then
so
just said it could take up to 99, that there was space in there.
again, depends on the capacity that's in your particular EFI. Mine shows a list of about 10 to 20, and then it starts overwriting. You can adjust that, but it's highly technical.
The EFI is in the chip on the motherboard. That's the BIOS chip, correct?
Yes, that's on your main board. It may be separate from your actual BIOS. It may be within your BIOS. Usually it's within.
Your BIOS, you got to be careful when you're talking UEFI and BIOS. The chip is really UEFI. However, they made a small little section in it for legacy style BIOS. So that's something that changed back in around 2013 or 14. And so once you have a UEFI set of BIOS, they expect you to stay there. And UEFI allows you to have GPT partitioning versus the older MBR partitioning that only allowed either 3 primary partitions and a logical partition or 4 primaries and nothing else.
So
But anyway, what EFI does is it takes the place of the old BIOS post. It enumerates your hardware and it tells your operating system how to find it.
okay, now the older BIOS required, you can't do GPT partitions on a system with the older BIOS. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is right.
That's MBR.
All right.
If you convert from MBR to GPT, you are converting to EFI boot.
And anything that's 10 after, I think about the 4th version or something like that of 10 and 11, you have to have GPT partitioning. It will create it if you do a clean install. So it's an automatic thing. But if you want to take that installation and try and go back to an older machine that has MBR only, you're going to have a problem because it'll only recognize 4 partitions and that's it.
Also, on a system drive, you will have a very small, sometimes they're called EFI boot partition, sometimes they're called, I think it's EPT. And those things mean approximately the same thing. And that is a special, unformatted, or differently formatted partition that just simply takes the first stage or two of booting and then hands it off to your bootloader, which is in your NTFS partition.
What is actually in that 100 megabyte partition that they create, or whatever the size may become?
EFI boot
is small. They can go up to 500.
Okay, but what is in it?
That's a kind of like a roadmap for every operating system you run on that computer to say, this is where your operating system is located on the drives and how to get there and what to do to be able to initiate the bootload of the operating system.
So more or less, this is a bootstrap?
Yes.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
secondary.
Don't forget, detection of hardware used to be by post.
Mhm.
Post does not exist in UEFI.
Right.
That's why it's so much faster. It takes about 2 or 3 seconds for EFI to boot. Post could take 2 or 3 minutes.
And all it is
Not necessary to find out the equipment to test. Are you here? You know, how does it know if you've made changes?
That's what EFI does. It will write a new EFI table or a new EFI entry. It's actually an entry. If I could show you outside of Windows, I can't do it within Windows. If I could show you what my first screen that I see after the brand name splash, I see I have to hit delete or F2 on my machine because I have to go into the boot select and it has a boot select menu. That's EFI. Each one of those is an EFI entry and I have 4 of them.
And all of the content of the UEFI is basically, to put it another way, a notepad file of text. And that's it. It reads through it by figuring out which one of the operating systems in that boot menu that Bob mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I selected the third one. So it goes down the list and finds the third operating system and gets all the information underneath that on what drive, what partition, where in the partition do I find all the boot information to load up the operating system into your memory.
Now, what that file does is it loads this information into a temporary memory. And that's got a security flaw. If there's a logo that can be changed, anybody can put any arbitrary code in there and go to town on your machine at the firmware level. That's bad news. And that's why a long time ago, the Linux community decided Grub, their bootloader, would not allow backgrounds any longer.
Well, being at
And
the
it would not
firmware
allow
level-
custom splashes.
At the firmware level, then no antivirus program, no security program, because you haven't used the operating system yet. You're right at the base of the.
McAfee has been working on microcode level security, but it's the only partnership I know of. McAfee and Intel had something going. AMD also has something going with some partner. But no, your antivirus does nothing.
No, your antivirus isn't even there. It hasn't even started yet. And the thing is, what Bob is describing as the logo that is in the UEFI, if it's there and it's changeable, that's called code injection. And that's how the bad guys inject code to do what they want, not what you were expecting to happen.
That's why they're going over to.
A very common thing for the bad guys.
That's why they're going over to fixed logos that will not be changed, and you'll probably just get your BIOS logo instead of your branded computer logo. Now, manufacturers don't like that, and the Micro Center doesn't like that.
Too bad.
Because their motherboard would then say Asus, which mine does, because I upgraded the BIOS. And BIOS updates are a whole different world.
And am I correct on BIOS upgrade? If my system is working fine, everything is good, anytime you do a BIOS upgrade, there's a chance that something could go wrong. So is it best to just leave it alone when it's good and it's solid and everything is fine, or is it good to stay with the latest?
That depends upon the machine, who manufactured it. If you get a real cheapy system, you may have a problem. If you have a very old system, BIOS updates can be very risky. And usually what a BIOS update, when you do it, is primarily for is what CPUs will work in that system, what memory modules and the sizes of capacity per module are allowable. Say an early system might have said, I only recognize memory modules that are 1 gigabyte in size. But
Right.
Everybody's moved on to 2, 4, 8, 16, 32 gigabyte modules. Well, the only way to get it is if there was a BIOS update that at least goes to 2 gig or 4 gig.
Tim, his question was, is it safe to do an update?
In modern
Okay.
ones,
Wait, can I finish? His question was put as, is it safe to do? And you basically are saying it depends.
that's
And
correct.
I would say an average person does not necessarily know if they have a system that's being updated all the time, or is this a one-off and I should be leery of it? So how do you measure whether or not this is a valid company to put an update or an upgrade in the BIOS and implement it?
You only
Go to their
the
website.
Wait,
manufacturer.
two people talking.
You only
Bob,
go to the manufacturer, period, for BIOS updates. Never
okay.
anywhere else.
Which is where it should normally come. So
That's
therefore, telling everybody in the group,
Now,
if your motherboard is, if I may, if your motherboard is made by Hewlett Packard, you go back to Hewlett Packard's website
That's
and you
right.
get the BIOS for that one.
right.
If it's made by Lenovo, go directly to Lenovo. If it's made by et cetera, Asus, go to Asus's website. All right. So now you've gone to their website, you put in the model, the serial number of the board you got, and it says, yes, there's a BIOS update available. Now the question is, do I download it and safely install this, and should I worry? Anyone want to say no? Does anyone say no?
In modern systems, it'll work usually flawlessly from within Windows itself.
Right.
Now, if you also have a machine that you bought that is business class, anytime there's a new BIOS update, you're going to get it automatically and it will install automatically. You don't have to think about it.
Okay. This also comes down to, should you be checking for drivers? And if so, how often? Because BIOS update goes along with drivers. For example, I added a USB card into a PCIe slot in my tower. At that point, I saw there was a BIOS update Now, in my to backtrack a little bit, my NUC has Thunderbolt as one of its ports. Those get version updates from time to time. HDMI gets version updates. And if you don't put those into your BIOS, you could have trouble with certain kinds of content and you could have I/O issues. Drivers work with the BIOS so that if your graphics driver updates, sometimes I have to update two things. There's an Intel engine of some sort that lives in the EFI, and there's also an Intel BIOS. And those both have to be updated in tandem. How do I know what to do? Intel is very good about posting exactly what you need. It'll be a file that'll be PAGTL something. And that allows you 4 different ways you could run your update. One of which is to hit F7 as you're booting. For almost all Intel BIOSes, that's what it is, F7. And it means update my BIOS. Now, modern BIOSes have enough memory on board. They make a backup of everything in there so that if it fails or gets interrupted, it will roll back to what you had before, and you will see that it didn't change. And you will see something next time you check. There's an updating tool from Intel, for example. Next time I check that, it'll say the BIOS update failed. Or it will say the BIOS update has happened and it succeeded, and it'll say the date. And the BIOS version will have a date, and it will have exactly which models it applies to. This is especially important if you got your computer branded by somebody like the Micro Center. Because the Micro Center brands other people's motherboards and BIOSes. In my case, it was a PowerSpec, which was a branded Asus. So I got my BIOS from Asus. Why? Because I wanted my USB ports to function better. And they do. It now thinks it's a low-level gaming computer.
Sweet. So, you got the BIOS, you run the install process, you may or may not have to reboot. You most likely will.
You will.
And everything should work beautifully, and you'll never even know that anything was changed in your machine. And that's the best.
I would say any machine that's no more than 7 years old, odds are you can download a new BIOS for that specific board, and within Windows, you double click on it and it'll install itself. It has a combination of a loader and the BIOS information all rolled into one file.
Yeah, and when we're talking about manufacturer, like I say, if there's secondary branding, like Micro Center, go to the motherboard manufacturer.
Yeah. It's just like homebrew. I have a lot of homebrew ones. So I put my own board in, and I have to go to that board's manufacturer to get my BIOS updates and drivers.
And there is a tool from Asus, which I have, that is meant for gaming machines, but it works perfectly well on my PowerSpec because it's the same board. And that is called, the Asus thing is called Armory Crate, which is the name of a gaming machine. It's not an ROG, it's an Armory Crate. And I use that plus the Intel driver and support assistant because I may find drivers that are Intel. I may find the BIOS is Asus. I may find drivers that are Asus. And here's one from Lenovo. Lenovo is fairly unified, so you'll get exactly what you need.
This is actually using the Intel product that you get right from Intel's website.
Yeah.
This is the Intel Driver and Support Assistant. If you believe or you know confidently you have an Intel processor in your system, I would download and I would use this software. It will update all the Intel drivers as well as your BIOS some of the other devices, the hardware devices. It'll take care of all of it. But what it also tells you, if you go to this PC, is it tells you the BIOS version, the date, which I just recently updated on this Lenovo, manufacturer, everything is in here, which is a really great thing. It tells you what version of build you're on for Windows.
Right.
Pretty cool.
You can also get system information from within Windows.
And how do I do that?
You just, I type into the search bar in Windows 11 system, and it says, as one of my listing things, it says system information. I may have to open it as administrator.
Okay, let's
You can
share
al-
that
You
screen.
can also go to
Give that a try.
You can go to settings also, system, about. That'll
Hold
give
on.
you a fair amount of info.
Yeah, but please do it as administrator because that gives you more info.
Right. Okay, so here's the system information as provided by Windows itself. Here it's telling me my build, the name, model number, blah, blah, blah. Lots of good stuff here.
Even tells us your passwords.
Yeah, look at that. Even has my passwords. Where are they? Are they showing up? That's really nice. Nicer than to put the
No, it
password.
doesn't.
I know.
It doesn't. That is not.
But it
correct.
does say that I'm on Central Daylight Time. It does
Yeah.
know.
The one
That's
thing
good.
it won't tell you on this screen, you have to go into one of the sub menus, is how many drives do you have and what size are they?
Hardware resources
Right.
is expandable.
All of those are expandable sub menus.
You have
Right.
DMAs,
So,
you have force hardware, you have memory, IRQs,
got more
And-
stuff in here than I need to know.
and components may also include your drives.
Right.
It depends when you say that. The guy that I was trying to help out recently, this is the info I wanted to get primarily. And he had no idea about the shortcut keys. He didn't know about Notepad. And with this information, a techie like me can find out about the hardware, especially if you're either having a problem, or B, you want to try and upgrade your system, or in some instances, you want to go from Windows on an old piece of equipment to, say, Linux. That's very
Now
important.
here's an interesting little fun fact, a sidebar, and that is if you have 2 or more internal SSDs, Windows, Linux, and outside of the operating system flash drives may identify these internal drives differently because they name them differently. The only way to know for sure what's where in terms of your operating system is on this exact device is to use the universal identifier, the UUID. Windows hides that from you. Linux doesn't have to.
Well, see, the where that comes in is like if you got M.2 drives in your system. Let's say you have a one that's a SATA only, SATA 3, and you have one that's an NVMe. They have different identification nomenclatures. And so sometimes if you're not experienced enough, you don't know which one you're dealing with.
It's worse when you have 2 that are both NVMe.
Yeah.
Because NVMe, you've got to look really closely. One's going to be 0N1, the other's going to be 1N1. 0N1 is primary, 1N1 is secondary. But that's exactly reversed when I boot from USB.
Okay. All right. I think we kind of covered this to like
That's just a
extensively
sidebar.
a lot more than we never even got to our subjects tonight or topics. And Pete is so involved on playing that game of poker on that other screen over there. See, I got him to look. Hey, Pete, are you there?
All right. I'd like to get on to some topics.
Okay, we got some topics there.
And
Go ahead.
let's see what we had listed. We were going to discuss how do you tell when a website is a scam?
Right. So how do you tell if a website is a scam?
Usually,
Or
like
that is to say, a website, you see an ad for a product, and you click on the link for that product, and you go, damn, that price is just so wrong. It is just so cheap, and we all know that if it's so cheap, it's got to be a scam, right? So how do you determine if this is a scam or not a scam? That's my question. How do you weigh that out?
spelling errors, wrong kind of logos, or some distortion of how the web page looks.
Okay. So
Or
let's
two.
say that's not the case. You haven't found that to be a problem. How would you search the web to identify this site from an external point of view? That is,
Through the URL on the tab for that web page. That's the starting point, because that's the universal resource locator address and of each web page anywhere in the world. And so that's going to be the big tip off. If it looks like it's hiding what the actual company name is, the odds are it's a scam. So if it says like a password, a 20 random character password is what the part after the @ sign for the URL is, you're going to be in an email going to a fictitious site potentially. Not necessarily, but usually that's the case. And if you hover over that link in the email, down in the bottom left, it will usually tell you the URL where it's going to. And that's if it ends in .com, .net, and a few others, they are usually US type. If they have two-letter things like .co, .ru, and a few others, those are from other countries.
Yeah.
.cn is China.
Okay, so here's a website that I've been trying to determine whether or not this is real or not. And I've done a little searching around the web just to determine, as best as I could tell, this place has got to be a scam. It looks so slick. Their air fryers are too cheap. Their magic bullets, instead of being $28, they're $15. So things on here are just too cheap.
Right.
But I also did find that this is not necessarily a USA-based company. I did find this same thing listed in another country with the exact same name, but instead of saying US, up in the URL it says US
Right.
dot, and then the name. It'll say, let's say FR dot, whatever their name is, or Germany GR or whatever. It came up with other names that would be listed at. So this is an international scam? Question mark? How should I determine this site is legit or not?
Be careful about thinking that it's a scam.
Okay.
There are direct importers who import from China.
Okay.
Some of them bypass U.S. customs. That's not your problem. But others do pay the customs, and yet they can offer cheap prices because they have their own private carriers or they have their own reserved ships.
Okay.
Some of them will distribute from U.S. warehouses, but their backhaul is all the way to China.
Yeah.
That's true of Temu,
Yeah.
TEMU.
Right.
It's true of Shein, SHEIN. Those are two very strongly discounted sites. Shein is noted for women's clothing, and Temu is noted for cheap stuff.
Everything.
But I compare Temu with Amazon it's like being in their marketplace.
Right.
You have to be caveat emptor.
Okay,
And I would
so
say
I have
this site,
company.
just be careful.
I have this company here. I'm kind of soliciting everybody to get others' inputs. What else can you do to determine whether this is legit or illegit? Is there any other tools available to us?
I think there are reviews of sites that appear from time to time in various groups. I'm not a member of a social media community, but there are communities, there are Reddits for sites that are good and for is this site any good? There are reputation services. Now, the reputation services have themselves gotten kind of bad reputations lately. But it used to be you could do that. You could also find out who owns the website.
Right.
We're using Whois.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got this. I don't know if this showed up here, but this is under GoDaddy, which
Yeah.
would be the place to go and put in the URL. So I'll put in the URL for this company. Copy C. I put in. I'm hoping you guys can see what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
And
screen share.
look at that. I did Controls V for pasting,
Good, good.
and I'm going to do a search. And what does it tell me?
Okay.
And it's available. I could buy this. Make it yours.
There is a potential problem. Something that looks like a top level domain may not be the top level domain.
Okay.
Sometimes they
I
do
am not
things
following what you're saying.
Yeah.
Sometimes
expand a
you
little
will
bit,
see.
please.
Sometimes you will see in your address bar something that looks like a top level domain for, let's say, Walmart, or looks like a top level domain for Netflix, but it's actually contained within a secondary domain.
So the fact that this says US dot company name .com, whatever it is, that is the part that's throwing it off?
It could be.
It could be. So if I take out the US, let's see what happens. Oh, look, domain taken. So the domain
we
is
have it.
taken.
And GoDaddy doesn't know everybody.
Right.
There are other registrars.
So it's not telling me so this is not telling me what we need to know, is it? All they're
It's
telling
telling
me
you
is,
there are similar sites.
okay, where else can I go?
Who's the domain registry?
Who is the domain?
Oh, yeah. Did you go to Whois? No, you went to GoDaddy.
I went to GoDaddy.
Whois.
Who is?
Yeah, go to
Whois.com.
Yeah, whois.com. There you go.
Now
Right.
you can find out.
Now we'll do it again.
You can find out whether it's registered.
Right. Other matches domains that are available.
Takes a little while if it finds anything.
Oh.
There
It may
are
not-
millions of sites out there. You got to remember, this is worldwide.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's not spinning.
No,
Not
That-
spinning, so it did not find it.
that makes me suspicious.
Well,
That makes me think you've got a redirect in there.
right. That again, this was the topic here. We want to like go through these exercises.
Yeah,
and see-
if you don't find anything, that's an indication that you were redirected to a
Okay.
different page.
So Whois could not find these people, so therefore they're not legit.
It means there's an underlying site and you're not being shown who they are.
Yeah, and they're trying to hide themselves. Now, that could mean criminal activity, or it could mean the company is trying to avoid some internet hassles with bad guys trying to shut them down.
Okay, so I was able to find it. Here, let me go back. I put in the URL here. And I did a Whois lookup.
Right.
And then here, instead of doing search, I did the Whois lookup. Then I Control V, and then I did a search. This page is different. Who is domain lookup? Now I did a search. Now it found them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And it says it's registered in, it started up last year in, what is that, September?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Something like that.
In Maine,
Um,
Burlington, Maine.
yeah, Burlington, Massachusetts.
Excuse me,
Massachusetts. MA is Massachusetts.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Burlington is where the mall is.
Yeah.
It's
so-
also where it's also got a lot of warehouses up there.
Yeah.
So I think they're operating out of a warehouse in Burlington. I've dealt with some companies that were like that. There are also a bunch of warehouses around Los Angeles that have their own little community name. And there are warehouses outside of Washington, D.C.
So where is?
and outside of New York.
All right. So now I've established that according to this URL information, there actually is a physical address, right?
Yes.
There should be.
Supposed
So
to be.
I could Google
Either
Maps.
either that or that's their dropship address.
Yeah.
They
So
may be
we've got-
drop shipping.
10 Corporate Drive, Burlington, MA.
That's going to be in an industrial park. I know that area pretty well.
Where's Burlington?
Burlington, if you are on I-95 and you're in Waltham, you keep going 7 or 8 miles north. You reach either Route 3 or Route 2. And either one of those might be going where you're going
There's the
in
building.
Burlington.
All right. So there's
One
a
of them is
building
called
here.
the Middle. One of them is called the Middlesex Turnpike, and there's some other places. So anyway, that's where the mall is, and this is
Endurance.
behind the mall.
Endurance and Assurance Company in there too.
Oh, Endurance
Yeah.
Insurance Corp. Okay.
That's an office.
There they are.
It's an office park.
All right. So I've established that there is a physical building according to this.
Yeah, so they answer the phones.
Right. What else can I do to help track down whether this is legitimate website / company?
If it's
By the
US
way-
based, BBB.
I'm sorry?
Better Business Bureau.
BBB. Now, the problem with BBB, I'm looking at Massachusetts, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could,
Yeah.
since they
Um,
seem to be a Massachusetts company.
move this. I can see what I'm typing.
They are using some kind of DNS parking,
All right.
which makes
so
me
let's
suspect it's a
say
redirect.
find business. Wait, I want to do no, see, look, it wants me looking. This is Burlington.
Burlington, Mass.
Okay. And we're going to look for, let's see if Control V will do.
You don't want the early part.
Yeah, you don't need all the,
Yeah. You only need deal equipment. Yeah,
yeah,
ideal equipment.
yeah, there you go.
And
Search. Nothing.
Uh-oh.
Take off the dash deal.
That's what I'm going to do.
yeah,
Nope.
No, take out the word deal.
take out the
altogether.
word deal.
Ah, okay.
Ideal equipment.
Nope. Nothing there. So what does that mean that they're not in BBB? Means there's no complaints, right?
No complaints possible.
Okay.
And they may not be a registered business. They may be a drop ship, as I say. They may just be an answering service.
Yeah, the only other thing I can think of would be through the Secretary of State of Massachusetts.
Yep.
You got to register all businesses with the state, no matter what state it is.
But BBB doesn't necessarily accept everybody who applies either.
No. No. And they might be with the BBB in some other state.
Secretary of,
Yeah, of the Commonwealth.
okay.
And what you are looking for is a business license.
Records.
Yeah,
Could be.
records probably.
No. Let's
Nope.
see.
Check their
Public,
departments.
no, that's appeals.
Corporations,
Probably under corporation.
because that would mean they were incorporated. Yeah, there's something new that
Company
got on.
database. There we go.
All right, plug them in.
Spell
Oh,
it.
equipment, you have an extra T in there.
Ah. Glad I
Oh.
got somebody here who could spell.
Now you've got somebody here. There they are. Ideal
they are.
Equipment Corp.
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
But
they
they're
got
in
it.
Swansea.
and
Now that's the different address.
different address and everything else, at different town even. So they're showing you on the website only the warehouse location. This is the supposed business office.
Excuse me, that was a business park, not a warehouse in
Right.
Burlington. That was a business office. Probably a phone operation.
Okay, so we see that this name of this company seems to be legit, right?
If there isn't a separate incorporated entity that's Ideal Equipment Deals,
Right.
And there's only one person, Barry Conway, as the officers.
correct.
Does
Could be a
anyone else in the group have any suggestions on how to vet a company?
Wait a minute. The company was incorporated pretty recently. You have to have what was it, September of last year?
Yeah, that one said the domain was started September of last year. Didn't say the
Domains
company.
get registered on a 1 to 2 year basis.
Right.
BBB doesn't take early. You have to have an established history before they'll take you.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the company was incorporated in 2015.
According to this, if we're looking at the right company.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a different company, I suspect. I don't know if you go by the ID or not, but it looks like a different company to me.
It could be.
It does.
Okay. Anyone else have any suggestions on how to look at? I'm just trying to go through an exercise here for everybody's benefit.
That
Yeah, what I do
website,
sometimes is just take a look and do a search on the company name with like scam or unsatisfied or something, and sometimes you get a hit.
Okay, so we want to know is idea? No, wait. Control V.
I'm gonna have to go, guys. Thanks
Okay.
for having me. I've got another webinar from Radio Club of America, which I'm a fellow member, so that's starting now. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much for joining us, Carl.
You're welcome.
All right, now I put in the name. It says, is it a scam? Idea deal. Well, that's not it.
the homepage of that company shows in Chrome an error page. And their Google listing shows an error page.
Okay. Now here's scamadvisor.com. I have no idea who this is.
Ideal Equipment Deals is not the company name.
Ah, where are you finding this?
It cannot be because Chrome produces an error.
Ah,
The page doesn't send any data from the link in Google search.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Now
All right.
let's see if we can get to one of the sublinks. They're all errors. This company is changing its web presence by the week.
Now, can you share your screen? Show us what you're looking at.
Okay. Sharing screen. Before I do that,
With
let
no
me do
password
the.
showing.
Just a minute. Google Chrome. And let me go to Google Search.
Wait a minute. We're not
Why
seeing
shouldn't I show you all my passwords?
Why not?
Ideal equipment deals, right?
Wait a minute. We don't see anything.
Oh,
We don't see
you
anything.
don't.
Didn't share.
No,
I
You're not sharing anything.
I
yet.
did not share yet.
There we go.
There we go.
Try again.
there you go.
There we go, sir.
Ideal equipment deals.
Yes.
Top 2 listings. Homepage. Link. Error. Top link. Error.
What? Oh, you know,
Empty
it's been-
response. Did not send data.
it was US dot ideal equipment.
US ideal? Okay, we'll try that. US dot ideal equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, I sent you the link.
There you go.
All right. Same thing.
US.
All it has,
ideal.
it doesn't have it.
Here, I sent you, Bob, look in the chat. I sent you the link. They do it all as a
Shit.
run on. They run it all together, no spaces. There you go.
That's a page redirect.
Okay. So
That's a page redirect. It is not what they say. They are not who they say they are.
of course, I know that it's not that
And
we don't
Google
have
search-
a doubt here. It's more that how does the average person know when we land
Well,
on
the
it?
Google search results don't even agree with the link. I don't know where that link came from.
Mhm.
Did that link come from an email?
It came actually. This company came from a Craigslist listing.
Oh, come on. Why didn't you tell us that to begin with?
No. This is an exercise. This is not because I don't know this. This isn't a legit.
Craigslist.
The minute I saw this, I
are
said, "This is screaming
garbage.
illegit."
Craigslist listings are garbage.
I know they are.
They all redirect toward. I'll tell you what it is. They're going for click through. Click through is a way they make money just because you clicked on something. And if you click on further links, they make more money. And you may never see your money again if you send anything to them.
Oh, I
If
figured
you
that.
send your credit card information, I think it might show up on the dark web.
It probably would. It probably would. Okay, I
Yeah,
thought this was
just
a good
just because you're looking for drones on Craigslist does not mean that you click on every link.
They had other stuff there. I just thought this was amusing and a good site because I knew it was illegit. So I just thought it would be worth exploring here instead of me trying to find one.
Well, Google search was our friend.
Right.
I don't know why
You should try TEMU and see what you get with that, because that's
I've already discussed them. They have both good and bad stuff. I have bought from Temu a greatly discounted blanket cover, and it is beautiful. Washes up beautifully. It's on my bed right now behind me, and it's a gorgeous pattern that I couldn't find anywhere else. And the price was unbeatable. I'm quite sure it came direct from China, but I don't care. They sent it by airmail. It came within a week. Who cares?
Who cares?
They pride themselves on very fast deliveries from China.
Wow.
Very often by air if it's a lightweight item. And do they pay U.S. Customs? I don't know. But in any event, Amazon would have things that are similarly priced, but I don't think I could get the same quality for the same price. And the shipping was free, which Amazon isn't always.
Right.
That's the thing that both Temu and Shein pride themselves on, not charging shipping.
Right.
So that's somehow folded into either the low quality of some of their products or the way they have their own shipping. In other words, their own carriers.
Right.
Or couriers, and for some small items.
Okay.
So
I
yeah,
got one
they're
with-
not a bad site. It's just they have some stuff that's
I'd like to move on to new topics.
Yeah.
New direction. Please, someone pick something out of the list, and let's see what you guys come up with.
How to check your Wi-Fi network for suspicious devices.
Now
Ah,
that's a good one. Now, where's that one? That one,
The fourth one down.
I got it.
Yeah.
I have a couple of suggestions for how you can do that.
Yeah, but will they land you in jail?
Never.
They are pieces of free
on.
software.
Come on.
Yep.
They are utilities.
Yep.
You and what do we got? How to check your Wi-Fi network for suspicious activities. Many routers do. I'm kind of breezing through the DHCP protocol.
Are these things that they're looking at inside the router?
They haven't gotten there, but I believe that's what you have to do. So first thing you have to do, of course, is you need to go IP address into your router to look at the table to see who's in there, right?
That is one way to do it.
If you don't want a device IP address to change like that, you have to assign it a permanent one. Okay, so they're talking about permanent ones.
I had a program on, it's not on this PC, it's on my other laptop. I can't remember what it is, but it shows all the various different people around and you know, what their network thing is.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
talking about like Wi-Fi managers.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that just looks and tells you what Wi-Fi networks are available. We're talking about what actually happens inside your internal network here. And
There is a utility that does that
okay,
Yeah.
for Windows. It's a near sulfur utility,
okay,
and it is called WNet Watcher. And Windows security thinks that it's malware. But it is not. It's just one of these programs that it's a sniffer, and
Yep.
that's why it gets the bad reputation. It has behavior that is similar to malware. Because somebody might plant something on your PC that is sniffing around for this very same kind of traffic and trying to find out who's there and what ports are open and everything. So WNet Watcher from Near Sulfur
okay.
will show you a lot of this stuff.
This article has got a lot of good stuff here. I can't say this is easy to demonstrate.
You would have to get into your router and share that. I'm not sure you can do that. You can do that through a browser.
I could do it through a browser. I'm just not sure I should do that.
And WNW is the network watcher, wireless network watcher.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Near Sulfur. That's been updated most recently, I think, around 2019.
From Nearsoft.
It can detect all the bands that are currently in use. I think also AX.
WNW.
WNet Watcher is what it shows up as in Nearsoft. Now, I have to put it in a special folder so that it doesn't keep getting deleted by Windows Defender.
Oh, okay. Hey, should I put this in? Let's see. Wi-Fi
It's a standalone. It can operate as a standalone. So you can just download it.
Okay, you got Wi-Fi channel monitor. Who is connected sniffer? Wake
Yep.
me on LAN. NK2D. Edit, merge, repair, autocomplete files.
Those are additional utilities.
Okay, so, I see additional
The
utility.
description is what it is. It shows a screenshot, and it has a version history, 241 currently.
Okay,
And
so it works still in XP.
Yeah, it does.
And my whole server. Okay, that's nice to know.
It is a standalone. It will work in your home server.
Okay. I don't know why I would want it, and there's a lot of updates to it.
Yeah. I think if you look at when the last version was released, it was not very recently.
It.
At the top of the page it'll say.
Oh,
2011 to
2011.
2024.
well, that's
So
the,
it has been updated.
okay.
Yeah, it's still going. Some of
2011 is
these
when it
utilities.
started.
Yeah, it started back in 2011.
Okay.
Networking hasn't changed that
Let's
much.
see, where do you download this thing?
Down at the bottom,
Download
it's got
32 bits, 64 bit.
yeah. You can do full uninstall or install, or you can just do. I would do that because that's the standalone. And you unzip it, and then you're ready to go. Except
Oh,
you
look at that.
clicked on something
Unless your
else.
AV detects it and thinks it's malware.
Oh, sorry.
I think
I
you
don't
may
know
have
why
clicked
this
on the wrong
popped.
download.
I think I clicked on the wrong link. Okay, sorry, my bad there.
The link was good.
Yeah, the link was good. That was Chicago Computer
You
Society.
just want to go up. Yeah, the first.
There.
Well,
You want
yeah.
the top
Show all the den. Yeah. You're not going to want to do it quite that way.
Okay.
What it should do is open up a File Explorer form and ask him if he wants to extract it.
Yes, that's
Oh, it's
one
already
thing that can happen.
Windows. There it is. Extract all. Run.
Well, we can't see it
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
I'm just going to go ahead and
because of
run
the way
this.
you did it.
but
Okay.
anyway, you'll fire it up.
Hold on.
And-
Windows Defender is stopping me.
Yeah,
No kidding. He told you
should-
that to start with.
Please. What do I do?
let me see
Oh,
if I
run.
can get mine up.
I got it. Run anyways. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not seeing this screen, I'm assuming,
Nope.
being built in front of me. Let's see if I can get that to show. There it is. Okay. Is that
Yeah,
working?
I'm in the wrong user to fire mine up.
All right. So
At least I think I am.
this is showing what devices are hooked up, my servers. How am I going to know if something's should not be there?
Well,
Do you recognize?
That depends on your familiarity with your network and the devices attached to the network.
Pretty much most of them I recognize. There's maybe a couple on here. There's no labels.
Device information, you can add your own label as you find out what it is.
Right.
For example, you have Hewlett Packard, that's obviously a printer.
Right.
You have Universal Global, whatever, which is a server.
Right.
You have Amazon Technology. I don't know what that is.
Well, it's some Amazon device.
Oh, it's a streaming stick.
Oh, right.
And Mark One, I don't know what that is. That's one of your computers, probably.
You got it.
You've got NVIDIA Shield, and you've got D-Linked, which is a router.
Mm-hmm.
And TUIA Smart Inc. is probably one of your IoT things.
Right. I got a lot of
Silicon Dust obviously
That's
is
an
your
HD
HD
home
Home
run.
Run, and it says HDHR.
Right.
Apple, you've got some kind of Apple device.
Yep, that's a streaming device. There's
Intel, that's your
laptop listed,
computer.
right?
Google, you've probably got their device.
Yep.
TP-Link, those are a router.
Mm-hmm.
Express something, I don't know what that is.
Don't worry.
ESP.
Yep.
It's an IoT device.
Right.
Okay.
The last ones, those are all IoTs. There's two here without numbers, or I'm sorry,
that'd be
names.
Google.
And what I would do is I would IP address directly to those devices and see what came back when I did that.
Yeah, that one that's X'd out is actually offline, and then there's something that is online.
Right. So I have,
and you've got a few in between. I find that with my gateway from Comcast Xfinity, it and the DVR will take up several addresses.
Okay.
And when I do wireless printing, that also is a couple of addresses.
So I don't
What is
have
it?
necessarily anything nefarious going on, but this is an app everyone could try out. It doesn't really install anything. It just runs when you run it, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And you can do the green button to refresh your scan.
Okay.
Green triangle.
So like if you unplug an item, it may disappear from your list. Probably
Well, you
not.
just refresh the view every so often.
Right.
Make sure nobody new showed up. Nobody with a tin can outside of your house.
Since we're also been talking about protecting people, like detecting a scam website, I remembered another tool I can share with all of you guys. And boy, did they
I
change.
tried loading this in and it got quarantined by my.
Oh yeah,
my
it was.
system.
Yeah, you have to run it anyway.
Yeah.
I did. It still quarantined it.
Oh, how rude.
Many antivirus programs will do that. That's why
Yeah.
I had to put it in its own folder.
Yeah.
This site here is a
Oh,
website.
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. I've
And
seen that.
if you got one or more emails, put them in one at a time, and you'll find out if it's out on the dark web somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, I happen to know my identity was stolen several times, including a recent one that was pretty serious. There was a social security number attached to an old utility account, and that is now out on the dark web. How do I know? Because I have the Experian service, and I have two of these services, Experian and Equifax, for monitoring. And they sent me alerts just about the same time AT&T said, whoops, we leaked some data.
Oops.
And I don't even do business with AT&T as of 2017, 4 years ago, and they never got rid of my social security number.
If you want to go to this site, just type in the URL, haveibenpawned.com.
And what does this do?
Put in your email addresses like it says.
It'll tell you whether it showed up on the dark web.
Oh,
Right.
if your email address has had a data breach, in other words, I gotcha.
Yeah.
If it's been reported.
Now,
So,
I have
Tim, put your email
multiple
address in.
accounts and multiple addresses. Most of mine are safe, but I have had some that have been pawned. If you see one that's been pawned and you haven't changed your password recently, I'd go into the account if you can still get in and change that password right away to something very strong.
My Yahoo account has a strong password, and everything about it is just all over the place.
Yeah.
Except for one thing. The name of that email account is also associated with sites where I don't use a strong password. So they may only have gotten my my throwaway password for sites I don't care about where there's nothing personal. I do that for some shopping sites.
Okay, so I took over the screen from you, Tim, and I put my old core.com email address. This one's no longer valid. And it says,
Yep.
oh no, it's been pawned. So it's been in 2 data breaches.
Yep. And you probably got emails at that address about something having happened.
Yep, but I'm not there anymore, so it doesn't matter. I just wanted to illustrate that this does seem to work.
Well, I no longer have my AT&T email address, but they knew about my alternate address. And that's how I found out through Gmail. That's where I keep my utilities now. And I don't think I'm telling you anything private.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have one account that I do for serious stuff, and the Yahoo account, I don't care. That's just for everybody and anybody. It's totally public. As far as I'm concerned, if anybody wanted to read what was in there, I don't care, except for a couple of family things, which ought to be going to the other account. So, yeah, if you want to avoid this kind of issue, good luck, because almost every database that is out there, sooner or later, will get breached.
If it hasn't already been multiple times.
Yeah. Okay,
And
so
yeah.
if I may, can we continue on? Someone want to pick out something else on this list? That was a great subject, went us in a great direction.
How about tired of the ads?
Ads in Windows 11.
Ads in Windows 11. Windows 11 is doing ads?
Yes, but if you're using certain apps and utilities, you may not notice them because they're not there. This is one place where tweaking works.
Okay, let's pull this puppy up.
We'll just see what they have to say about it.
So why is Microsoft putting ads on our desktop? Is it going to make Windows cheaper? Is it going to make it free?
No, they're going to pay you to use it.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, I've got some real prime real estate to sell.
I've got a bridge to Brookline, not Brooklyn, Brookline, Massachusetts, that I can sell you.
Okay, so if you're a Windows 11 user who isn't quite ready to leave the operating system behind, their ads, are they like all over your desktop?
They are in specific locations.
Okay.
Taskbar has some stuff. There are widgets.
Startup menu.
There are announcements. There is a lock screen.
Okay.
All of which, there's a Windows Spotlight, which is on your startup or lock screen. These are all places you might see it. You might see it in your browser as well.
Yeah. So this is an ad blocker, this OFGB, which says, "Oh, frick, go back."
Okay.
Makes your system registry, makes use of your registry to disable all kinds of ads, including File Explorer ads, lock screen, tips, tricks, settings ads, finish setup ads, welcome experience, personalized ad, tailor experiences, start metal. Boy, it's got a lot of stuff that they're throwing at us. So you get this from GitHub, and this is an ad blocker for Windows 11.
How ironic that it's GitHub, which is owned by Microsoft.
Yeah.
GitLab is the one that's not.
Okay.
After we're done looking at this one, I have another suggestion.
Okay. And I guess this is something so you got to go to GitHub to get it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You got to go to GitHub.
And it's best to use that link that you just clicked on, because there are a lot of potential harmful sites out on GitHub. They try and scrub them out, but they always manage to get back in somehow.
All right. And then where do you get this?
Right up at the top there. That list there is all the different files. And you're probably going to main Windows. You have more keys, fix arguments. You have the license there.
Scroll down. All right. Credits downloads.
Here you go. Download right in the middle and click
It has
here.
a click here. Now that's what you got to be careful at GitHub. Just at GitHub, if you just click on one of those links, you don't know what you're getting.
That's right.
Sometimes they'll do automatic downloads. This one is nice and it doesn't.
All right. So now
and if it's a really good one, it should be at oldergeeks.com.
So now what? One of these
You
assets
have 3 different versions. One's ARM, one's a .exe, which is the one odds are you want.
Yeah.
And dependence exe is requires a runtime dependency, but it is much larger file.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you got to read the note there in the middle. Not the .exe is not self-contained. Drops runtime dependencies resulting in a much smaller file. So if you've already got .NET 8 on your system, you don't worry. If you don't have .NET 8, you're going to have to either install it, or in some different sites and developers, they will figure out you haven't got it, pop up a window that allows you to download from Microsoft .NET 8 version.
Okay.
So you got
And .NET 8 should be present in Windows 10 and 11.
All right. So when you're done, I went and ran the program, and if everybody sees this rectangular box here, it says OFGB, and it's got all these check boxes. That's essentially what I got displayed on my screen after I ran this little executable. So it gave me this box, and I can click or unclick any of those check boxes to enable or disable. And that's all I did. And then I closed it. And I guess that means those things are turned off.
The registry has been modified.
My registry has been modified. I'm running Windows 10, not 11, so I don't get all these ads,
No.
but I do get some of this stuff show up.
Yeah. If you have Edge, it'll show up.
Right.
Is there anything else people want to talk about or ask about for this?
Yeah. No, is anyone else? Okay. So this is ad blocking, Windows ad blocking, right?
Yeah. And there is another program that's much more general. And what I want to do is get onto Shut Up 10.
Here, let me stop sharing. All right.
Okay, let me see about getting the share up. And that. Let me get you guys out of the way. No, you're okay. The green bar is for a download. And Shut Up 10 is a very general tool. And what's really nice about this guy is there are default settings. And they color code green, yellow, or red. Yellow is riskier. Red may interfere with your system. Green is perfectly good to do. Disable and reset advertising ID. Disable blah, blah, blah about advertising. Camera in logon screen. Inventory collector, whatever that is. Handwriting data. Error reports. Disable conducting experiments by Microsoft. You didn't even know that was happening, did you? Disable the Windows Customer Experience Improvement Program, which is some of the telemetry. And the list goes on and on of things. And you can save the configuration file once you have everything selected. And deselect as you need to in order to do what you need to do. And here's some more of it. These are the greens, reds, that might be orange. And limited impact, don't do it because you're going to, if you disable sending URLs from the Windows Store, you are going to disable the Windows Store. You won't be able to download anything. Limited means you don't really want to do it. Yes means it's included in the defaults. Activity history, clipboard, app privacy, etc. Account information, especially this thing about account information is especially a problem for people who log in with a Microsoft Cloud account. And many people do. And then there are people who always run as administrator, and that allows even more access. So Windows Shut Up 10 Plus. Shut Up 10 Plus Plus. And let me just put that into the chat as a URL. And I can stop the share once I get you guys back to your normal and upright position. So, I just went O and O. Shut up, Ted. It's put together by a company based in Germany, and the reason for that is that this began as a way of enforcing the EU rules. And Microsoft at the time was not doing it. Let me do this to everybody. There you all go. So that's another privacy tool. It's not just for ads. And I'll tell you something, it makes a difference in terms of the resources that Windows 11 is using, as measured by several monitors like the performance monitor. You wouldn't believe all the things that go on in the background.
Oh, I'm sure.
You can also switch off background apps so that apps don't run in the background. In Chrome and in Edge, you can also tell them not to keep running in the background and not to start up when you log in. That's especially important for Edge. Bing Weather is one of the ones that's one of these widgets. And MSN News.
Anyone else want to comment on this? Nope. All right. Shall we move on to another subject? This was a great one to explore.
Yeah.
I love telling my computer, oh, shut up. You know?
Yeah. Well, this one will tell it literally, shut up. And it'll save the settings. So that every time Microsoft does an update, it wants to put everything back. And this thing, one click, and you're right back to where you should be.
Sure. New direction. We all know, many of us know that Microsoft had decided that we needed Copilot, their AI-enhanced searching software, and loaded it onto our PCs on Windows 10 and 11. I gave it a test today to see, can it do something for me that I think it should do? And that is, I wanted it to search my computer and look for a specific song that I told it to go look for. It couldn't do it. So what it does do is it will help you along the way. That is, it'll say, do you want me to open File Explorer for you? Yes. Well, then it just opens File Explorer, and it did nothing for me. The way I believe it should work is you tell it, I want you to search my computer and look for this file. Basic thing.
Yeah, but
their AI is not smart enough to look back upon itself on the operating system.
Not yet.
I don't know yet if there's any AI client out there that will search your system for something you're looking for.
Right.
Now, wait a minute. On June 24th, the first 6 new Copilot Plus PCs will start becoming available, and all the new stuff next year will be Copilot Plus PCs. And those do run an AI client on your machine that might be able to look for that file, whether you want to or not.
So
also
those are going to be Copilot aware PCs,
yes,
or what?
They have built-in N as in Nancy, P as in Paul, U for unit. It's a neural processing unit, and that is an accelerator for AI logic. And once that's on a computer, it will help the computer run AI locally on your machine. And there's a new feature that'll come out in 24H2 It's very controversial. It will look through your history if you let it. And that way, I remember I was looking at a site. I can't remember what it was, but if I put enough information into Copilot on a Copilot Plus machine, it'll tell me through my history the site that I probably am looking for.
Microsoft's Copilot AI can now read your files directly as of March 5th.
Oh,
Now, that's been dribbled out to different computers at different rates. It does not work in Windows 10.
Ah,
It's Windows 11.
so I don't have this feature.
No, you only have Copilot in your browser.
right. Well, or you
I mean-
may also have a taskbar icon.
It's a taskbar icon is the only
I
way
have both.
Yeah. Let me put something into chat that is a Tech Radar article that tells you what is going on here. That's the title, and we'll get the URL.
And while that he's doing that, we have time for one more subject off of our list. If someone wants to pick something up, we can discuss that next.
There we go.
Ah, and now read your files, but it's not the privacy nightmare. It sounds like okay. We'll
It's
read that.
not like what's coming in 24H2, which is Total Recall. Excuse me, Recall. Windows Recall. I call it Total Recall because that's about how scary it is.
It's scary.
It's a reminder of, it's a flashback to the film strip style history that was either built into Windows or my Toshiba laptop had one like that just gives snapshots of everything you've been up to. And if you don't clear that every once in a while, it's going to be there for anybody to read in plain images. Worse, if you've got OneDrive as where you're saving to, or you're saving a copy to OneDrive in your Microsoft account, now anybody who gets into that account can see everything you've been doing. Including Microsoft employees, they could. I'm not saying they do.
So watch out if you are favoring pornography sites.
No, it's your local activities on your computer.
Shall we move on to that one last question?
Okay, but the concern about this is that your passwords could be exposed
Okay.
if you've got them open.
All right. Anyone want to bring up one of the last subjects?
How about the blocking unwanted and annoying spam emails?
Blocking unwanted.
Okay.
All right.
I've had a real outbreak of spam going on in my Gmail account lately. And it's coming from other Gmail abusers.
I got a question. Is your email running slowly on your phone?
Whoa, what's
Here are
this
my
guy
top
already
6
talking?
tips to speed up email so you can increase your productivity and get messages
All right,
a lot more quickly.
We don't want
I
this
took the
guy.
cyber
Put
guide
him on
for life
pause.
easier with
There he is. Sorry about that. Didn't know it was going to be an autoplay. Of course.
Well, it's Fox. What else would it be?
Yeah, I got that. I was just going to say this is Fox. So my screen is filling up with all this unwanted stuff already.
Exit out.
God, these websites that just pour all these things on you.
Well, it's a news website, so of course it's going to do that.
Yeah. Email solutions to hide, change, delete your email address. Trips to protecting your inbox. Okay, so what? You should change your email address? Well, that becomes a pain in the ass. Especially when it's your primary one that you use for your business or your, banking and everything else.
I think you should read what this does.
Okay, what does this do?
It hides or it sends a fake email if somebody's looking for it. So it creates something that isn't your real email.
Oh, I see. You could say hide my email.
Yeah. And then it'll be harder for it to be seen. But that's only for iCloud, iPhone, and Mac.
Ah,
I think Android has similar things available, but you have to download them.
Nothing for Linux, huh?
What is that?
Nothing for Linux, huh?
I guess why? Your
So
phone doesn't run Linux.
setting, tap on your name on the top, tap iCloud, and say hide my email.
Yeah. Or you can create a new email address, which will tell people send everything here.
And it's a temporary one. It's a
throwaway.
throwaway. That's an interesting one.
And like I say, something similar may exist for Android.
I wonder. So why is this? So this is affiliated with your iCloud account.
Yeah, it's a feature on the iPhone and the Mac because Apple chooses to include privacy features. Android, not so much.
Okay, iCloud, and it's email address, right?
Right.
I'm looking.
System settings. Apple icon, system settings, name, iCloud, hide my email. It's under iCloud Plus.
Well, I'm not going to spend all this time. I was looking for it. It didn't show up on, but I'll look for it after this. So
Well,
this,
anyway,
yeah, right.
there's a plus sign you can hit.
There is a plus sign.
Hmm.
Okay. Is there any other last questions for the group? If not, I will thank everybody for attending and stop the recording.